Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lorenzo Neal. Thank you so much for thinking it not robbery to listen to my channel. If you have not done so, I would like to invite you to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell for future notifications when I upload new videos. And I am so grateful that you have done so, will do so, are doing so in this moment. Thank you. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about Derrick Jaxn. If you're not familiar who Derrick Jaxn is a relationship coach, a dating coach, very well popular on YouTube, Instagram, and other social outlets. I guess he's pretty well known. It depends on who you talk to. He's hated by some men, loved by some women, but his content has been around for a minute, and some people value some of the things he said. But anyway, he was recently exposed by another YouTuber by the name of Tasha K for infidelity in his marriage. At least 3 women have reported to her of their relationships with him, and they're providing the receipts, of course. And that wouldn't be news if it weren't for who he was and what he says, the content of what he says. The other thing is that Derrick Jaxn made follow-up videos to these accusations, and each one has been very, very interesting. The first one he responded to was the initial accusation from a young woman that said they had been intimately acquainted. He responded by saying that they had been involved, that they had sex without sex. So it implies that they had been sexting or whatever. And the second one was a response with he and his wife, full bonnet on, that has made the rounds of the internet, that where he comes out and confesses to infidelity, sexual infidelity, and has his wife there supporting him, which has some people more concerned about her than him. And it has, of course, brought up the issue of submissiveness with women, how he seemed to have manipulated the conversation. But that's neither here nor there. And the third one was a response by Derrick Jaxn to his video with his wife, in the third person, by the way. So Derrick Jaxn responds to the video as if he would respond to another video in the third person about himself, which many people thought was just outright crazy. I say it was masterful, because I think he was trying to display that he could address his issues in the same way he did prior to these issues coming out. Now, I don't know. That's just my assumption and my insight. I have no idea into how he was thinking or what he was thinking as he did. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And then, yeah, so a lot of YouTubers are making comments about this, and I was a bit reluctant to, but I felt I needed, hey, what's the worst that could happen? Full disclosure for a moment. I am a divorced pastor. I am not married. I am unmarried. And I am a pastor who, if I can put it in the best sense, can identify with him in the degree. Now, I am divorced, and although I did not have a physical sexual affair while I was married, I did have an emotional affair, which probably was worse, if let some people tell it. So I can identify a little bit with what he was saying, and but not too much. The second thing is, because I'm in ministry, I know of a lot of clergy persons, male and female, who have been in this same space, not to the point of full exposure by YouTubers, but the fact that they've had to deal with extramarital affairs, both as the spouse and as the person committing the affair, and the ramifications that it had on their personal integrity, ministry integrity, and all of that. But they all came through, they all came out of it. It may have led to dissolution of marriage for some. For some, it led to, more embracing of them as an individual, as a human. But I said all that to say that we're living in an age right now where there's an uncovering, and this is an uncovering not just with moral fragility and failure in the individual of esteem or prestige or position, not just that, but an uncovering in the moral corruption of all types of institutions, the educational institution, or the institution of the church, the institution of government. We're seeing this uncovering, and people are able to get a glimpse into the reality of the perceptions that they thought were one thing and turned out to be another. And it is quite disappointing to see this happening, but at the same time, I believe it's liberating, because we're able to see, and I can use Derrick Jaxn and many other as examples, that the frailty of humanity sometimes causes us to put our trust in humanity itself, in individuals. Being a pastor in the church, a lot of people put their trust in me. And if I would have failed morally, and I have, I am not going to try to be up here on a high horse and say I have not failed morally, especially in the sexual arena. I have. But that sense of trust, especially from parishioners, is disconnected, and sometimes it does great damage. Sometimes it doesn't. But we have an example here, and I think Derrick Jaxn is probably an exception, because he comes across somewhat prideful, narcissistic, and even though in his video he said he's been humbled by God, he's given his life to God, it still does come across as him using this means to manipulate the public to stay in his favor. But as we go forward, the question that I've been asking myself, and I hope that you've been asking: how do we repair trust? Do we need to even have a sense of trust? And what about others like him? How can we trust the voices that we are listening to? Not just on the YouTube space for information or in church, but really, how can we trust the voices that we're listening to from leaders, elected officials, educators, and all this, when we know there's secret agendas that we probably are just learning about, or we know that these persons really truly don't have our best interest, and we're supposed to trust them that they do. And I'm trying not to get on a slippery slope argument here, but it's really challenging for us. And what we have to do going forward is to be very, very discerning. Developing that discernment is requiring discipline. It requires discipline. We have to be able to hear our voice first. Hear our voice, hear the voice of God, and be able to articulate our voice in a manner that we know will be valuable and truthful, and trustful. So when we get to that point within ourselves, we'll be able to communicate that with others. I try to do that weekly, daily, weekly. I try to be sensitive to myself before I articulate anything to the public, before I put a sermon together. Now I'm putting these hours in to study, but I'm spending time in reflection, meditation, and prayer to ensure that this is impacting me as much as I hope it would impact those that I will be proclaiming to. And so when it comes down to it, there are plenty of other Derrick Jaxns out there. His platform just happens to be greater than mine or many others. But the reality is, because there are plenty of Derrick Jaxns out there are plenty of people manipulating us. And we've just got to be careful about the voices we hear in the platforms that we put up, because sometimes they are not always what they seem to be. This is nothing new. This uncovering is nothing new. I mean, it goes back generations, centuries, it's nothing new. But at least now we can be more aware of it. And because we can be more aware of it, we can be empowered to work against it. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate it. And again, invite you to like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Hit me up on all my social media. And if you would like to, I definitely would like your support on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Hey, however you support, I appreciate it. And I'll be looking forward to reading your comments. I love it. It's always fun. All right.